Before a man changes his fortune, he must change the position from which he thinks. If he continues to think from weakness, he will interpret opportunity through weakness. If he continues to think from fear, he will turn possibility into danger. If he continues to think from defeat, even a new road will begin to resemble the old one. The outer condition may change, but the inner governor remains the same, and sooner or later the same governor produces the same kingdom. That is why you must stop waiting for circumstances to introduce you to the man you intend to become. Meet him now. Assume his mind before you possess his results. Do not begin by asking what he owns. Ask what he permits. Ask what he refuses. Ask what occupies his thought when difficulty appears. Ask what standard controls him when nobody is present to praise or punish him. Ask what he does with an ordinary morning, an unexpected disappointment, a delay, an insult, a promise, a temptation, an opportunity. There you will find the real man. The future is not first hidden in possessions. It is hidden in decisions. A man may imagine himself wealthy, respected, disciplined, influential, and free, yet continue making decisions from the mentality of scarcity, fear, disorder, and hesitation. He wants the reward of a higher identity while remaining loyal to the thinking of a lower one. This cannot continue forever. Sooner or later, one must defeat the other. Either the old mind will pull the future down to its level, or the higher mind will raise present conduct toward a new standard. Choose which mind will govern. Do not say, I will think differently when my life improves. Reverse the order. Think differently so that your conduct can improve. Govern conduct so that new results can be produced. Produce new evidence so that the mind becomes stronger in its new position. The man you intend to become must first appear as authority within you, not as a dream, not as entertainment, not as a pleasant picture visited when the present becomes uncomfortable. Authority. When a decision arises, let that man decide. When fear speaks, let that man answer. When comfort asks you to postpone, let that man judge the request. When resentment offers you another hour of useless thought, let that man refuse it. You cannot become him while allowing the former version of yourself to cast the deciding vote. The old mind will resist this change because it prefers what is familiar. Even painful habits can become familiar enough to feel safe. A man may dislike his condition and still defend the thinking that created it. He complains about confusion but protects the habits that scatter him. He complains about weakness but avoids the disciplines that would strengthen him. He complains about poverty but refuses to examine waste, value, service, and judgment. He wants a new life without disturbing the old mental arrangement. That is impossible. You must disturb it. You must question the thoughts you have repeated for years as though they were facts. You must examine the conclusions you formed during seasons of fear. You must look at the language with which you describe yourself. I have always been this way. I am not good at that. I never finish. I am unlucky. I cannot handle pressure. Be careful. The mind listens when you speak with finality. A temporary weakness repeated as identity becomes a command. A former failure repeated as prophecy becomes a boundary. A painful event repeated as definition becomes a prison. Stop describing yourself only by what has already happened. The past is evidence of where you have been. It is not a legal claim upon where you must go. You may have been careless. Become exact. You may have been timid. Practice courage. You may have been disorganized. Establish order. You may have abandoned plans. Learn to complete. The old condition explains the work ahead. It does not excuse you from the work. This is where many men become confused about identity. They believe becoming a new man means denying reality. No, it means refusing to make present reality permanent. If you are weak in an area, admit it. Then train. If you lack knowledge, admit it. Then study. If you have failed, admit it. Then extract instruction. Truth does not weaken the higher identity. Truth gives it material to work with. The man you intend to become must be able to look at facts without being ruled by them. He does not need to pretend the mountain is small. He needs to believe he can climb. He does not need to call a mistake a victory. He needs to turn the mistake into instruction. This is strength. The weak mind either exaggerates difficulty or denies it. The developed mind measures it. Then it acts. Begin measuring yourself differently. Do not ask only, how do I feel today? Ask, what is my standard today? Feelings are weather. Standards are architecture. A house cannot be built according to weather. If the builder works only when the sky pleases him, the walls may never rise. In the same manner, a life built according to mood will remain unfinished. The future man must live by standards. What time does he begin his important work? How carefully does he keep his word? How does he handle money? How does he respond to criticism? How does he speak when angry? How quickly does he correct a mistake? How much discomfort can he endure without abandoning purpose? These questions reveal more than dreams ever will. Define the standard. Then begin obeying it before it feels natural. This is where transformation becomes real. The first days may feel like acting against yourself. Good. The self you are acting against may be the very self you must outgrow. Do not become frightened because discipline feels unfamiliar. Familiarity is not proof of truth. Weakness can be familiar. Disorder can be familiar. Fear can be familiar. You are not required to remain loyal to what is familiar merely because you have practiced it for years. Practice something higher. Repetition will make the higher pattern familiar too. Every act teaches identity. When you rise and complete what you once postponed, you teach the mind something. When you remain calm where you once reacted foolishly, you teach the mind something. When you save where you once wasted, study where you once avoided, persist where you once surrendered, the mind receives evidence. Evidence is stronger than empty enthusiasm. Many people try to change by becoming excited about themselves. Excitement fades. Evidence remains. If you want to believe you are disciplined, create evidence of discipline. If you want to believe you are courageous, create evidence of courage. If you want to believe you can become prosperous, begin producing evidence of value, order, and sound judgment. Do not ask confidence to arrive before evidence. Give confidence something to stand upon. The man you intend to become is built through repeated proof. Small proof is enough to begin. One promise kept. One difficult conversation handled with dignity. 1 hour protected from waste. One task completed without excuse. One temptation refused. The world may not notice. That is not the point. The inner government notices. A man begins trusting himself again when he sees himself obeying himself. This is one of the greatest turning points in life. Until then, he may make resolutions, but secretly expect betrayal. He has heard his own promises too many times. He no longer believes his own declaration. You must repair that trust. Speak less. Complete more. Do not make 10 promises tonight. Make one promise you will not break tomorrow. Then repeat. The higher mind grows through credibility. A man who does not trust himself cannot easily carry a great purpose, because every command becomes a negotiation. He says, I should begin, and another voice says, later. He says, I must stop, and another voice says, one more time. He says, this matters, and his conduct says, not enough. End the argument. Choose. Then obey. Decision must mean something again. A true decision is not a strong feeling. It is a line beyond which the old conduct is no longer permitted. If you decide to become disciplined but continue giving delay equal authority, you have not decided. If you decide to become financially ordered but continue excusing waste, you have not decided. Decision closes doors. This is why many avoid true decision. They want the future, but also want to preserve every weakness that makes the future impossible. You cannot. Something must lose permission. Perhaps it is complaint. Perhaps it is laziness. Perhaps it is the habit of comparing yourself with every other man. Perhaps it is the desire to be approved before you act. Perhaps it is resentment against the past. Whatever it is, name it. A hidden enemy is difficult to defeat. Once named, it can be watched, then refused. The mind of the man you intend to become must become selective. He does not give every thought a chair at his table. He does not allow fear to sit at the head. He does not allow envy to advise his decisions. He does not allow anger to write his plans. He listens to thought, but he judges thought. Learn this. A thought appearing in the mind does not make it true. A fear appearing does not make danger certain. A doubt appearing does not make the purpose wrong. You must become the judge of your thoughts, not merely their servant. Ask where a thought leads. Does it produce courage or paralysis? Clarity or confusion? Responsibility or excuse? Useful caution or cowardice? The higher mind thinks in consequences. The lower mind thinks only in immediate comfort. This distinction will change many decisions. A lower mind sees an hour of discipline and asks, how difficult will this feel? The higher mind asks, what will this hour build? The lower mind sees a temptation and asks, how much pleasure will this give now? The higher mind asks, what habit will this strengthen? The lower mind sees criticism and asks, how do I defend myself? The higher mind asks, is there truth here that can improve me? Think in consequences. Every act repeated becomes training. Every thought entertained becomes easier to repeat. Every standard lowered becomes easier to lower again. This is why the man you intend to become must begin governing the smallest decisions. The future is often decided before the grand opportunity appears. It is decided in the quiet preparation that determines whether you will be ready when the opportunity comes. Do not wait for greater responsibility to become responsible. Carry present responsibility well. Do not wait for wealth to become wise with money. Become wise with what is already in your hand. Do not wait for influence to control your speech. Control it now. Life often enlarges what a man has already demonstrated. Prepare for enlargement. If you wish to become a stronger man, do not merely picture the reward. Picture the weight. Can you carry it? If not, train. If you wish for influence, train your judgment. If you wish for wealth, train stewardship. If you wish for leadership, train self-command. If you wish for peace, train the mind not to surrender itself to every disturbance. Your future should inspire preparation, not fantasy. This is the proper use of imagination. See clearly enough to act. Imagine the future man entering your present difficulties. How would he handle what you are facing now? Do not imagine him only in victory. See him under pressure. See him when plans fail. See him when money is scarce. See him when others misunderstand. See him when fatigue arrives. How does he remain? How does he speak? What does he do next? That answer is your instruction. Become him there. Any man can imagine himself strong when no difficulty is present. Strength is revealed by the mind assumed under difficulty. Perhaps the future man does not panic. Practice calm. Perhaps he does not complain. Practice restraint. Perhaps he does not surrender the plan after one failure. Practice return. This is how imagination becomes character. The man you intend to become is not waiting for you in some distant year. Parts of him are waiting inside decisions available today. You can choose his patience today, his discipline today, his courage today, his honesty today, his focus today. You may not yet possess his final result, but you can begin possessing his governing principles. And principles practiced long enough produce identity. Do not become obsessed with asking when the whole transformation will be complete. A man does not become new in one instant of enthusiasm. He becomes new each time the higher mind wins another decision. Count victories correctly. A victory may be refusing an old reaction. A victory may be beginning on time. A victory may be staying silent when vanity wants attention. A victory may be correcting yourself quickly. These victories accumulate. Do not despise them. A stone placed correctly is part of a cathedral, even when the cathedral is not yet visible. Place the stone. Tomorrow, place another. This is how identity is constructed. You will fail at times. Expect correction, not perfection. The future man is not created by never falling. He is created by refusing to make failure a permanent residence. Rise quickly. Study the fall. Correct the cause. Continue. Do not spend 3 days condemning yourself for a mistake that could have been corrected in 1 hour. Self-condemnation often disguises another form of self-absorption. The higher mind is more practical. It wants the lesson, not the drama. Take the lesson. Then move. You are building a man who can be trusted under pressure. That requires repeated training. Do not resent the training. The difficulty before you may be the exact exercise required to develop the quality you admire in your future self. Patience cannot be formed where nothing delays you. Courage cannot be formed where nothing frightens you. Discipline cannot be formed where nothing tempts you toward ease. The obstacle may be providing the classroom. Enter it consciously. Ask what quality the situation demands. Then practice that quality. This question will save you from wasting hardship. Many men suffer and learn nothing because they only ask when the suffering will end. Ask instead what must grow before it ends. The answer may contain your next identity. Assume that mind now. Let the future man begin governing the present man. Let him correct your speech. Let him order the hour. Let him challenge weak excuses. Let him refuse what lowers the standard. You do not need permission from your past. You need obedience to your chosen future. And once that future mind begins gaining authority, the next battle will become clear. You must protect it from the old influences, old environments, and old patterns that will try to make the former identity feel natural again. And the moment the higher mind begins gaining authority, the old influences will test whether the change is real. They will not always attack openly. Some will come through familiar places, familiar voices, familiar habits, and familiar ways of seeing yourself. The danger is not always that someone will tell you to go backward. The danger is that everything around you will quietly remind you of who you used to be. This is why a man must learn to protect the new identity before it becomes strong enough to protect itself. You cannot plant a new standard in the mind and then carelessly return to every influence that fed the old one. You cannot decide to become disciplined while continually placing yourself where indiscipline is treated as normal. You cannot decide to become courageous while constantly listening to fearful people interpret every opportunity as danger. You cannot decide to think greatly while keeping close company with people who mock every great aim. Environment speaks. Association speaks. Repetition speaks. And the mind listens, even when you do not notice. Be selective. This does not mean becoming proud, cold, or isolated. It means understanding that everything repeatedly admitted into the mind eventually asks for influence over conduct. A man may believe he is too strong to be affected by the thinking around him, but repeated influence is patient. It does not need to conquer him in one day. It only needs to lower the standard little by little. Guard the standard. The man you intend to become will not be created only by what you begin doing. He will also be protected by what you stop permitting. Stop permitting conversations that leave your mind smaller. Stop permitting habits that return you to the old weakness. Stop permitting unnecessary contact with influences that make your purpose seem foolish. Stop permitting your best hours to be claimed by what does not deserve them. A stronger identity requires stronger boundaries. Without boundaries, every outside demand becomes a command. Every opinion gains a vote. Every invitation enters the schedule. Every emotional disturbance receives attention. Then the life becomes crowded again. Crowding weakens direction. The future man does not give equal weight to everything. He distinguishes between the important and the immediate, between counsel and noise, between responsibility and distraction. He understands that attention is one of his greatest forms of capital. Spend it carefully. If your attention is constantly broken, your identity will remain unstable. The old mind loves scattered attention because a scattered man cannot build enough inner force to change deeply. It keeps beginning and stopping, deciding and doubting, rising and retreating. Concentration gives the higher mind strength. Choose what deserves repeated thought. The mind becomes shaped by what it repeatedly returns to. If it returns to resentment, resentment becomes familiar. If it returns to fear, fear gains authority. If it returns to purpose, discipline, service, and possibility, these begin becoming the mind's natural ground. You must train the return. Do not imagine concentration means never becoming distracted. It means returning deliberately. The mind wanders, bring it back. Fear appears, bring thought back to fact and purpose. Comparison appears, bring thought back to your own assignment. Discouragement appears, bring thought back to the next necessary act. Return. Again and again. This is mental training. The future man is being formed in these returns. You may think progress should feel dramatic, but much of identity is built quietly. A man notices an old reaction rising and chooses a better one. No one applauds. He notices the desire to delay and begins anyway. No one sees. He notices envy and refuses to feed it. These are invisible victories. Do not underestimate them. The world often notices results long after the mind has been changing in secret. By the time people say, "You are different," the real change may have been happening for months or years in decisions too small for them to observe. Let it happen quietly. You do not need to announce every improvement. Silence can strengthen identity. The man who constantly speaks of what he is becoming may begin receiving satisfaction from the speech instead of from the word. He may feel rewarded before he has earned evidence. Then the mind confuses declaration with transformation. Speak when necessary. Work always. Let the new identity become heavier than your description of it. Another danger comes from old relationships that have memorized an outdated version of you. Some people will continue speaking to you as though you have not changed. They may remind you of former weakness. They may laugh at a new standard. They may be uncomfortable when you become more disciplined because your change forces them to examine their own condition. Do not become angry, but do not return to weakness to make them comfortable. You are not required to remain small so that others can recognize you. Growth changes relationships. Sometimes the relationship grows with you. Sometimes it does not. Your responsibility is to remain respectful without surrendering direction. A strong man does not need to insult those who do not understand him. He simply refuses to be governed by their understanding. This is maturity. Do not waste energy trying to convince everyone that your change is real. Time will reveal it. Consistency will reveal it. Conduct will reveal it. Let evidence argue. If someone says, "You will not keep this up," do not defend yourself for an hour. Keep it up. If someone says, "You are trying to be something you are not," answer through character. Become it. The higher mind does not spend its best strength proving itself through argument. It uses strength for construction. Construct. The old self was often maintained by old emotional patterns. These patterns may survive even after habits begin changing. A man may become more disciplined outwardly, but still carry the same inner anger, fear, insecurity, or need for approval. Do not mistake external improvement for complete transformation. Examine the emotional pattern. What still controls your peace? Whose opinion still has too much authority? What memory still changes your conduct? What fear still makes certain decisions for you? These questions reveal where the old identity is still hiding. Bring it into the light. You may discover that you are working hard not because purpose is strong, but because you are still trying to prove your worth. You may discover that you seek wealth because you are still answering an old humiliation. You may discover that you want influence because you are still afraid of feeling insignificant. Do not condemn yourself. Clarify yourself. A stronger mind is built when motive becomes clean. You may still pursue wealth. You may still pursue influence. You may still pursue mastery, but pursue them from strength, not from an untreated wound. The man you intend to become should not be ruled by the people who hurt the man you used to be. Release them from command. You do not need to forget every injury. You need to stop letting injury design the future. Forgiveness may be part of this. Not because what happened was acceptable, because your future is too valuable to remain chained to resentment. Resentment is a strange form of loyalty to the past. It keeps old enemies living in present thought. Break the loyalty. Free the mental space. Use it for construction. The future man needs that energy. Every hour spent rehearsing bitterness is an hour not spent strengthening purpose. Every emotional argument repeated in private trains the nervous system to remain in the old battle. The battle may be over. Stop fighting ghosts. Build. Another old pattern is the need for immediate approval. A man begins changing, but when no one notices, he becomes discouraged. This reveals that part of the old identity still depends upon outside confirmation. Do not build your future on applause. Applause is unstable. Today, people praise. Tomorrow, they are occupied elsewhere. If your standard rises and falls with their attention, you have surrendered command again. The higher mind asks a different question. Was the action right? Not, was the action noticed? This question creates independence. A man who can act rightly without being watched becomes dangerous to mediocrity. He no longer needs constant encouragement. He no longer needs witnesses for every discipline. He can work in silence, grow in silence, prepare in silence. This kind of man becomes powerful because he is difficult to distract with praise or criticism. Develop that independence. Do not become indifferent to wise counsel. That is pride. Listen carefully to truth, but distinguish truth from opinion. Advice should be weighed by principle, experience, motive, and relevance. Not every person who speaks confidently understands your road. The future man must learn judgment. He cannot borrow every opinion. He must think. This is another part of assuming a higher mind, becoming slower to react and quicker to examine. When criticism comes, pause. Is it true? If yes, use it. If no, release it. Do not waste 3 days defending yourself from one sentence. The higher mind values peace too much. The old mind often reacts because it feels threatened. The new mind can examine because its identity is less fragile. Strength does not need to answer everything. Sometimes silence is command. Learn it. A man who cannot control his response is still partially controlled by others. Anyone who can provoke him can direct his attention. Anyone who can flatter him can influence his judgment. Be harder to move, not harder in heart, steadier in mind. This steadiness must also enter your relationship with failure. The old identity may return quickly after one mistake. You may have been disciplined for 30 days, then failed once, and suddenly the old voice says, "See, nothing has changed." Do not believe such foolish mathematics. One mistake does not cancel 30 days of evidence. Correct the mistake. Protect the progress. Do not use imperfection as proof of impossibility. The future man does not demand a flawless record before respecting himself. He demands honest correction. This is a stronger standard. Perfectionism often serves the old identity because it creates an excuse to quit. If everything must be perfect, one error becomes permission to abandon the whole effort. Refuse this trap. Be exact without becoming brittle. Demand improvement. Allow correction. A flexible tree survives winds that break a rigid branch. Strength must know how to bend without abandoning the root. This is true of plans also. The future man may have a definite purpose, but he is not foolishly attached to one method. If the method fails, he studies. He adjusts. He learns. The old mind says, "The plan failed, therefore I failed." The higher mind says, "The method gave information." This difference changes everything. Identity must not be tied to one outcome. You are not a failure because one attempt failed. You are a learner if you learn. You are becoming capable if you correct. Let experience teach without allowing it to define your worth. This is how resilience is built. The future man will need resilience more than excitement. Excitement can begin a journey. Resilience carries it through difficulty. Train resilience now. Do not run from every uncomfortable season. Some discomfort is instruction.